Most people are looking for, how do I practice my faith? What do I need to do to prove that I am a man or a woman of a particular faith group, of a particular spirituality, of a particular lifestyle, of a particular knowledge base, of a particular methodology, of a particular magic or Wiccan group? It's really not about the religious structure in which you're formalizing your spiritual growth. It's about whether or not it's a good fit for your life. You see, many of us are raised Christian, but then we sort of lose interest in a way because either the pastor of our church is too pompous to give us real practical tips, or openly we're not sure how to produce a loving relationship with other people of the faith. We sometimes linger and we sometimes leave a church. We sometimes move to another one. We sometimes find what's right for us. We often find what's wrong for us. But openly, we're looking for who's there, how can they be involved in our life, are they a good match to us, and whether or not they really are a practical match. Matchmakers are sort of predominantly a part of the Jewish tradition, but in life, many of those old rituals are moving away. We have a little aspect of our lives that is practically about faith. Most human beings are born with a faith gene. What I mean is that we know that there's a spiritual force. We have this innate understanding that there is something greater out there. We're just not sure how to tap into it for the best aspects of our life to move forward out of poverty, out of difficulty, out of tough times, out of bad relationships, into loving, more prosperous, peaceful lifestyles. Sometimes it's a matter of shifting our ideology of what we really feel a man should be or is, and openly sometimes we have to let go of our preconditioned ideas of what a woman is and isn't. I'm talking about this because there are many people who are struggling with, did they meet the right match for their life? Am I in the right relationship? And some people don't question it at all because they're really not in the right relationship and they're too afraid to find out the truth. I have many friends who have particularly selected the wrong mate because they literally didn't pay attention to whether or not there was an intellectual match or a spiritual match or an emotional match or even a psychological match. They were more picking whether or not they were physically attracted to the chemistry in an individual, thinking they might be able to get to an intimate level with them in a very precarious and moment of nakedness. And I hate to say it that way, but isn't that what it's really like? Because we all have our own discourse with ourselves about whether we like ourselves, whether we hate ourselves, whether we love our bodies, whether we hate our bodies, whether there are certain parts we're shy about. And the truth is, it's really about making love. It's about two souls intertwining and understanding that Lord God have placed them together in a way that allows those souls to really shine. You see, we don't always recognize all the relationships of the world because we don't always want to. In my lifetime, I had siblings that rarely recognized my Japanese spouse. They almost never provided her an introduction as, this is this man's wife. Openly, they let it go down to legalities, to their implications that they were righteous Christians doing the right Lord's work. But in truth, when a person lives with someone, when a person resides with someone, when a person lays with someone, when a person beds with someone, when a person sleeps with someone, when a person snuggles with someone, when a person enjoys the life of being with someone, it is a relationship of a spouse. And we have to let those relationships handle themselves in a way that's different. Sometimes those relationships produce offspring, and then there's the responsibility of splitting the duties of caring for those loving children. The reality is our children become either our best selves or our worst enemies in the way that they are raised. We are either mentally and emotionally healthy enough to provide them love outside of the struggles we are feeling in the relationship with their birth parent that may not be us, or we're looking for, how do I find love again with new people without struggling to bring the children into the relationship. When I talk like this, I'm talking from experience. I'm talking of having parented a child from age 8 to age roughly 28, I think it was, 25 maybe. But openly, it was a challenge to be a stepfather. But here's what I know today from my old spouse and her words on his life, was that my son was more like me than she cared to acknowledge, but most importantly, that he was taking on some of my better traits and a few of my crazy ones because he lived with me for so long. He understood once he had his own children and from other step relationships, what a struggle it can be, even in the same linguistic culture. He got the message from his own life experiences. My late father, Bill, always talked about how there was 3 ways a person learned. They either learned from their own experiences, they learned from others' experiences, or they learned from books and knowledge and research that they literally did into topics of interest. My own lifestyle, I have learned that I have loved several people in my life, but the one that the Lord has provided for me, the one that the Lord has picked for me, the one that the Lord selected for me, I get prophetic gifts about. And I guess that's how I know. There's other ways that I know physically she's right for me because of how things do things and feel things and how I feel when I'm around her and what my soul strives to become when I'm near her. And the reality is, I haven't seen her literally in a while, but I've sent my proposals. I have probably proposed 7 to 10 times now, and I'm literally waiting for a serious response. I'm literally waiting for that day to sit down and have sushi and talk in a way that's loving and kind like we used to. And I'm looking for that opportunity to show her, to articulate to her, to express to her, to verbalize to her why precisely I love her, why precisely I feel the Lord has chosen her for me, and why exactly I long to be in her presence on a daily basis. You see, that's what a man does. He longs to be with the one he loves. He doesn't merely just tolerate them. He doesn't merely just brush them off and brush off the kids and go, great, go handle it. I'm going to stay here and talk on my telephone. He doesn't do that. He makes time for someone. He literally sets himself aside time during the week to be present, to be a participant and a co-parent if he's allowed and if he's required, and openly to love on another human being's children simply because he loves one of the parents who produced them. You see, when I'm talking about an individual who I love, but she has boys and children, and I have to know how to respond to them. But the only way I know how to do that is to simply listen to God. And if God says you'll love them as your own, then so be it. If God says you're just going to be like an uncle, then fine. If God says you're going to stay the hell away from that mess, then okay. But it doesn't mean that I don't have rights to her love and rights to win her love and rights to earn her love from everything I've been through, everything I've endured, everything I'm willing to put up with, and openly everything that Lord God has planned for our lives together, which is literally to make millions, to help people who are impoverished, to help people to learn to grow, to provide consult to people who need it, and openly to get people on God's path in a way that makes the most sense to their souls. So when I propose, I'm proposing a lifetime of love, a purposeful marriage, and practicality in business that will produce revenue and income to last us through retirement. I don't know how other men propose, but I have a creative way that I'm planning to do, but if it didn't work, then I tried another way. And if that didn't work, I tried another way. And I literally will send that proposal every motherfucking day, excuse the language, if I must, to make sure she gets. This is a serious invitation to a lifelong love that Lord God has put in my soul in such a way that no matter how angry I get about and frustrated I get about how immoral it feels this has been handled in my life by other people monkeying in my love life and my rights to be with someone, that openly, if God says this is the one, then who am I to question? And openly, he's already proven it to me physically that she's the one because of some of the challenges that I have in my own physical health. Now, when I talk like this, I'm talking very authentically, very transparently. I'm telling you I've got a few challenges, but you know what? My other spouse didn't care. My previous girlfriends didn't give a rat's, and openly, she might even come around again. But the truth is that when I'm opening myself to new people, when I'm developing my own relationships, I'm not sharing those private, intimate things because it's inappropriate, it is illicit, and frankly, it's a little immoral, especially if there's no intimacy that's going to be had through that relationship. In life, we have moments of time to make all the difference in the world for someone. And I want to make a difference in the world for someone I love. I don't know about you, but isn't that really what we do in those groups that we sit down and we talk in is we make love to other people's souls in a way that they feel good, that they feel cared for, loved, and responsible to their own little actions. Now, in my lifetime, I'm looking for people who love other people, who love the God in heaven, and openly who have no desire to harm another human life through playing games with them, monkeying with their property, pulling things in and out of pockets, and literally destroying a person's right to trust other people, other human beings, and other trustworthy beings on the planet.